Ladies and gentlemen, there is a force in this world that the earth itself trembles to acknowledge. It is not found in armies, not in wealth, not in fame, but in the quiet, unyielding power of a woman who has healed. A woman who has faced the storm, walked through the fire, emerged with scars that tell stories of survival and strength. She is not reckless, she is refined. She is not fragile, she is formidable. Healing is her weapon. Pain was her teacher. Betrayal, loss, and disappointment were the architects of her resilience. When she heals, she does not just reclaim her life, she transforms it. She no longer carries the chains of the past. She carries wisdom, authority, fierce sense of purpose. Do not mistake her gentleness for weakness. Do not underestimate her compassion. A woman who has healed knows the weight of sorrow, depth of despair, and the power of restoration. She is dangerous not because she seeks revenge, but because she has been set free. Free from fear, free from doubt, free from the opinions of those who never believed she could rise. She speaks truth in a world full of deception. She builds bridges where others burn them. She inspires courage where hopelessness once thrived. Every step she takes is a declaration that the past does not define her, that her scars are not signs of defeat, but medals of victory. A healed woman moves with clarity. She knows what she deserves. She sets boundaries that protect her peace. She refuses to settle for mediocrity or compromise her integrity. She is unstoppable because she has learned the most profound truth. The greatest power lies in restoration, in becoming whole despite the trials. And when the world tries to silence her, she speaks louder. When doors are closed, she finds windows. When doubt surrounds her, she stands taller. She is a force of nature, a revolution in motion, living testament that healing is more powerful than any weapon ever forged. So, the next time you ask, what is the most dangerous force on earth? Look no further than a woman who has healed, a woman who has risen, and a woman who will never be broken again. She is fearsome because she is free, and nothing and no one can stop her. There is a power in this world that few understand, and even fewer recognize. It is quiet, it is subtle, yet it is unstoppable. It is the power of healing. Healing is not just about mending broken bones or recovering from sickness. It is about reclaiming your soul, restoring your mind, and repairing your spirit after life has tried to break you. Healing is power because it is the ultimate act of defiance against anything or anyone that sought to diminish you. Think about it. Every person who has hurt you, every betrayal that cut you deep, every circumstance that tried to make you less than, you are still standing. You may carry scars, yes. Those scars are not symbols of weakness. They are medals of strength. They are the evidence that you walked through the fire and came out refined. The moment you begin to truly heal, that is the moment you realize you are dangerous, not in a violent way, but in a way that cannot be contained. Healing is power because it restores clarity. When your heart is broken, your mind is clouded, and your vision is blurred by pain, you make decisions out of fear, desperation, out of insecurity. But healing removes the fog. Healing sharpens your mind. Healing gives you the ability to see the truth of who you are and the purpose you were born to fulfill. A healed person does not settle for less than they deserve. A healed person refuses to allow the opinions of the world to dictate their self-worth. Healing is the power that teaches discernment. It teaches you to recognize what serves you and what destroys you. Healing is power because it restores authority over your life. When you have been broken, it is easy to feel like life is controlling you. Circumstances are stronger than you are, like you are merely a passenger in your own journey. But the moment healing enters your heart, you reclaim your seat in the driver's chair. You take command of your emotions, your choices, your destiny. You become the author of your story, architect of your dreams, the captain of your soul. That is true power. The power to refuse to be controlled by past wounds. Healing is power because it fuels courage. There is a fearlessness that comes when you are healed. You no longer need to hide behind walls of self-protection. You no longer need to silence your voice to avoid conflict or judgment. You walk with your head high because you know the storms you survived. You know the battles you fought. You know the tears you shed. And that knowledge gives you audacity. That knowledge gives you the bravery to pursue what others may call impossible. Healing is not passive. Healing is a call to action. It propels you forward, even when the path is uncertain, even when the world doubts you. Healing is power because it transforms relationships. A healed person interacts with others differently. A healed person is no longer defined by dependency, insecurity, or the need for validation. They love from a place of wholeness, not emptiness. They forgive not because others deserve it, but because their own peace depends on it. Healing allows you to set boundaries that protect your well-being, boundaries that say, I will not be mistreated, I will not be diminished, I will not be ignored. And when you operate from this place, the world respects you in ways it never did before. Healing is power because it multiplies influence. A woman or man who has healed is like a lighthouse in the darkness. Their story becomes a beacon of hope. Their courage becomes contagious. Their example becomes a template for others to rise from their pain. Every person who heals does not just reclaim their own life, they lift others. They show others that wounds do not have to define destiny. Scars can become strengths. That pain can be transformed into purpose. This is the kind of power that cannot be silenced, cannot be ignored, cannot be diminished. Healing is power because it aligns you with purpose. Many people wander through life carrying pain that they never resolve. They stumble through days, dragging anger, resentment, and regret like chains. But healing breaks the chains. Healing restores focus. Healing allows you to hear the whispers of your calling. Healing allows you to step into your destiny without fear, hesitation, or doubt. When you are healed, your life becomes a living testimony that trials do not have to defeat you, that darkness does not have to define you, that the world cannot determine your worth. Healing is power because it generates resilience. Life will always test you. Life will always challenge you. Life will always throw storms in your path. A healed person does not crumble under pressure. A healed person bends, but they do not break. They fall, but they rise. They encounter setbacks, they persist. Healing teaches endurance. Healing teaches patience. Healing teaches the art of standing firm when everything inside and around you says, that is power, the ability to face adversity without being conquered by it. Healing is power because it brings peace. True healing is not just about surviving, it is about thriving. It is about walking through life with a calm confidence, knowing that no circumstance, no person, no word, no past failure can steal your serenity. Healing gives you the power to remain composed when chaos surrounds you. Healing gives you the strength to smile in the face of doubt. Healing gives you the grace to walk humbly yet boldly in a world that often seeks to wound the wounded. Peace is power, and healing is the key that unlocks it. And finally, healing is power because it is eternal. Physical strength fades, wealth disappears, influence diminishes, but the power of a healed soul endures forever. Once you have reclaimed your spirit, restored your mind, and mended your heart, nothing in the world can take that from you. That power lives inside you. It radiates through you. It transforms everything you touch. And the most beautiful part is this: healing is contagious. When you heal, you give permission for others to heal. When you rise, you create the path for others to rise. That is the kind of force that cannot be measured, cannot be stopped, and cannot be ignored. Healing is not weakness. Healing is not surrender. Healing is power. The woman or man who has been broken and has healed is a living hurricane of strength. They do not seek to harm. They do not seek revenge, but they cannot be underestimated. Their presence commands respect. Their words inspire courage. Their life is proof that pain is temporary, but power is permanent. And the greatest power on earth is the power that comes from rising after you have fallen. Power that comes from restoring what was lost. The power that comes from becoming whole. So embrace it, see it, pursue it. Do not fear the process. Do not despise the struggle. Do not ignore the lessons. Because when you heal, when you truly, deeply, soulfully heal, you become unstoppable, unshakable, undeniable. You become the most powerful force the world has ever known. Pain. It is something every human will encounter. No one escapes it. No one walks through life untouched by it. Pain is inevitable, unavoidable, and often unforgiven. And yet pain is also one of the greatest teachers you will ever have. Pain teaches lessons that comfort cannot. Pain teaches truths that pleasure cannot reveal. Pain is the quiet, relentless mentor that shapes your character, refines your spirit, and strengthens your resolve. Many people fear pain. They try to run from it. They try to numb it. They try to avoid it at all costs. But pain is not your enemy. Pain is your teacher. It is the one force in your life that will never lie to you. It will never sugarcoat your situation. Pain exposes your weaknesses, reveals your vulnerabilities, and illuminates the areas in your life that require growth. Pain shows you who you are when no one else is watching. It reveals your true character when the world cannot see, and that, my friends, is priceless. Pain teaches humility. There is nothing like suffering to remind you that you are not in complete control. No amount of planning, no amount of wealth, no amount of influence can shield you from life's storms. And when those storms hit, when the winds howl and the waves crash, you learn a humility that cannot be taught in classrooms, cannot be bought in stores, cannot be imitated. Humility through pain gives you perspective. It allows you to see the world not as a place that revolves around you, but as a place that demands patience, resilience, and understanding. It teaches you to rely not only on your own strength, but on wisdom, faith, and the support of those who genuinely care. Pain teaches resilience. There is a reason they say, what doesn't kill you makes you stronger. Pain is the forge in which strength is created. Every time you face heartbreak, disappointment, betrayal, or loss, you have a choice. You can let it crush you, or you can let it cultivate you. Pain forces you to rise again. Pain forces you to rebuild. Pain forces you to dig deeper than you ever thought possible and discover the well of courage that lives within you. Each trial, each wound, each hardship is a chance to become stronger, wiser, and more unshakable. Pain teaches empathy. When you have suffered, when you have endured, when you have felt the depths of despair, you begin to understand others in ways you could never understand them before. You learn to see the struggles behind their smiles, the battles behind their calm, and the tears they hide from the world. Pain softens the heart that might have been hardened by pride. Pain allows you to connect with humanity on a deeper level. It equips you to be a source of comfort, encouragement, and guidance for others walking through the storms you have already survived. Pain teaches discernment. Life is full of illusions. People will promise, circumstances will deceive, and opportunities will appear better than they really are. Pain has a way of cutting through the lies. Pain reveals the truth. It helps you recognize what is real, what is valuable, and what is worth your time and energy. Pain teaches you to distinguish between friends and fair weather companions, between temporary satisfaction and lasting fulfillment. When you have been wounded, you no longer settle for less than you deserve. Pain trains you to make wiser choices, to hold your boundaries, and to protect your heart while still being open to love and growth. Pain teaches perseverance. There will be moments when the weight of life feels unbearable. There will be nights when you question why you keep going. There will be days when giving up seems easier than pressing on. But pain is the teacher that reminds you the journey is not over. The lesson is not complete. The victory is not yet yours, but it can be. Pain teaches you to endure, to fight, to push past despair, to keep moving forward, even when the world seems determined to hold you back. Each step taken in spite of pain builds stamina, courage, unwavering spirit of a survivor. Pain teaches self-discovery. Often you will not know your true strength until you are tested. Often you will not realize your deepest fears until you face them head on. Pain has a way of stripping away the superficial, the false, and the unimportant, leaving you with a raw, honest understanding of who you are. Through suffering, you discover your capacity for forgiveness, your resilience, your creativity, and your courage. Pain teaches you that your worth is not determined by what happens to you, but by how you respond to what happens. Pain is the mirror that shows your true self, not the self you wish to be, but the self that is capable, strong, and resilient. Pain teaches gratitude. When life is easy, when everything flows smoothly, it is easy to take blessings for granted. But when pain enters, it awakens appreciation. Pain makes you recognize the value of simple joys, the warmth of love, the strength of support, and the beauty of survival. Pain teaches you to celebrate victories, no matter how small. It teaches you to treasure moments of peace and joy because you have known the absence of them. Gratitude born from suffering is not superficial. It is deep, transformative, and life-affirming. Pain teaches transformation. Ultimate lesson of pain is that it is temporary and purposeful. Pain does not last forever, but the lessons it imparts do. Pain shapes you, molds you, and prepares you for greatness. It is the fire that burns away weakness, the chisel that sculpts character, the teacher that instructs wisdom. Pain is not punishment, it is preparation. Those who learn from it emerge not bitter, not broken, but renewed, empowered, and ready to fulfill their destiny. Pain transforms the ordinary into the extraordinary. It turns survivors into warriors, victims into victors, and broken hearts into sources of inspiration. Those who fear pain will never grow. Those who avoid it will never know strength. Those who ignore its lessons will remain trapped in cycles of defeat. Those who embrace it, those who learn from it, those who allow it to teach them, will discover a power that is unstoppable. Pain is not a curse, it is a calling. It is not a setback, it is a setup. It is not the end. It is the beginning of a higher, stronger, more resilient version of you. Do not despise the lessons of pain. Do not shrink from the challenges it presents. Do not waste your suffering. Instead, embrace it, learn from it. Allow it to shape your character, sharpen your spirit, and strengthen your resolve. Let it teach you humility, resilience, empathy, discernment, perseverance, self-discovery, gratitude, and transformation. Let it refine you, not define you. Let it lift you, not break you. For when you learn from pain, when you allow it to teach you, when you rise stronger on the other side, you will discover something the world cannot take from you, the power within yourself, forged by fire, unshakable and unstoppable. Pain is the teacher. And if you listen carefully, if you endure patiently, if you allow its lessons to transform you, you will not only survive, you will thrive. You will not only rise, you will soar. Pain is the secret architect of greatness. Pain is the quiet force behind strength. Pain is the teacher who will guide you to the most powerful version of yourself if only you are willing to learn. There is nothing in life as liberating, as transformative, and as electrifying as freedom from the past. Yet, so many walk through life shackled by yesterday's mistakes, yesterday's pain, yesterday's disappointments. They drag regrets behind them like heavy chains, allowing what has already been done to dictate what they can do tomorrow. I tell you today, freedom from the past is power, and power belongs to those who dare to claim it. The past is a teacher, yes, but it is also a cage. Whispers lies. You cannot move forward. You are still that person. You are still defined by what happened to you. But those lies are meant to keep you small. They are meant to convince you that your story is over, your value is limited, and that your future is predetermined by your failures. And yet, the truth is this: the past has no power over you unless you give it power. Freedom from the past begins the moment you realize that you are not your mistakes. You are not your failures. You are not your brokenness. You are far greater than the sum of your history. Freedom from the past is about reclaiming your identity. For too long, people allow the world, circumstances, or even themselves to define who they are based on past events. They let shame, guilt, and regret whisper lies that they carry for decades. But you are not defined by what happened to you. You are defined by who you choose to be today. Every moment you spend in regret, every hour you spend looking back, is a moment stolen from your potential, from your purpose, from your destiny. Freedom from the past is saying, I am no longer a prisoner of yesterday. I am free. I am whole. I am moving forward. Freedom from the past is power over emotions. When the wounds of the past remain open, they shape how you feel today. Anger, bitterness, resentment, and fear are all descendants of unhealed memories. They may have served as protection once, but now they hold you captive. Let me tell you something. The person who refuses to forgive is not punishing anyone else. They are punishing themselves. Freedom from the past requires the courage to forgive, not necessarily to absolve, not necessarily to forget, but to release yourself from the grip of pain. Forgiveness is the key that unlocks the chains of yesterday, and once you forgive, you gain the clarity and peace to move forward unshaken. Freedom from the past is clarity of vision. You cannot see the path ahead when your eyes are fixed on what is behind you. You cannot step into your purpose when you are constantly looking in the rearview mirror. The healed and liberated mind sees opportunity, sees potential, sees possibility. It no longer hesitates out of fear of repeating mistakes. It no longer doubts because of prior failures. Freedom from the past allows you to dream again, to pursue again, to hope again, and this time with wisdom, discernment, and confidence. Freedom from the past is release from toxic cycles. Many people repeat the same mistakes, fall into the same traps, and make the same poor decisions simply because they have not released the hold of history. The pain of childhood, the regrets of youth, the disappointments of adulthood, they can all echo across time unless confronted and resolved. Freedom from the past breaks cycles. Freedom from the past allows you to redefine patterns, set boundaries, and create a new trajectory for your life. It transforms the narrative from one of victimhood to one of victory. Freedom from the past is ownership of your story. Your history is yours to acknowledge. Yes, it is not your sentence. You have the power to interpret your experiences not as condemnation, but as instruction. Every wound, every heartbreak, every failure carries a lesson if you are willing to learn. Freedom from the past is the act of saying, I will not allow the pain I endured to write the story of my life. I will write my story. I will define my destiny. Step into my future with courage and confidence. That is power. The power of authorship, the power of authority, power to determine who you will be and what you will achieve. Freedom from the past is empowerment in relationships. When you carry yesterday's hurts into today, it colors how you see people, how you trust, and how you connect. You may push people away, distrust their intentions, or sabotage meaningful connections because of what happened before. But liberation from the past allows you to enter relationships whole. It allows you to love freely, to give trust wisely, to communicate honestly, and to establish boundaries that honor your worth. Freedom from the past is not just personal. It ripples outward into every interaction, every friendship, every partnership, and every family connection. Freedom from the past is resilience for the future. Life will continue to challenge you. Obstacles will rise, circumstances will test you, and adversity will attempt to shake you. The person who has freed themselves from yesterday faces these trials with courage and composure. They do not react with panic, fear, or despair. They respond with wisdom, patience, and strength. Freedom from the past equips you with the tools to endure, to navigate, to thrive regardless of what comes your way. It is the armor that shields you, the compass that guides you, and the fire that fuels your determination. Freedom from the past is self-love in action. When you refuse to carry guilt, shame, or regret into your present, you are declaring that you deserve better. You are declaring that your worth is not determined by your past choices, but by your willingness to rise above them. Freedom from the past allows you to embrace yourself fully, the flawed, the scared, the imperfect, and yet the unstoppable version of you. It is the ultimate act of self-respect, self-compassion, and self-empowerment. And finally, freedom from the past is the gateway to destiny. You cannot step into the fullness of your purpose while clinging to yesterday. You cannot embrace the life you were meant to live while carrying burdens that were never intended to be permanent. The moment you release the past, the moment you forgive, the moment you reclaim your identity is the moment you open the door to the future. The person who frees themselves from the past does not merely survive, they thrive. They do not merely exist, they flourish. They do not merely dream, they achieve. So hear me clearly, the past does not define you. The mistakes, the heartbreak, the failures, the regrets, they are not your sentence, they are your lesson. And the person who truly learns from these lessons, who releases the chains of yesterday, who steps boldly into today, will discover something that no one can take away: the freedom to live, the freedom to love, the freedom to pursue greatness, freedom to become unstoppable. Freedom from the past is not optional. It is essential. It is not passive. It is active. It is not easy. It requires courage, faith, and determination. But the reward is incomparable peace, clarity, purpose, and power. The person who achieves freedom from the past stands taller, walks bolder, speaks louder, and shines brighter than ever before. They are a living testament that the past is not your prison. It is your platform. It is not your chain. It is your catalyst. When you rise from the ashes of yesterday, fully liberated, fully empowered, fully alive, you become the force the world cannot ignore. There is a misconception in this world, a dangerous lie, that many have been taught that strength is only found in aggression, in dominance, in power over others. To be strong means to be unyielding, unfeeling, and uncompromising. But I am here to tell you today, with every fiber of my being, true strength is not measured by how hard you hit or how loudly you roar. It is measured by your capacity to show compassion. Compassion is strength. Compassion is power. Compassion is a force the world cannot withstand when it flows through a person who is unshakable in their purpose. Person who has endured hardship, faced trials, and risen from the ashes of despair has a choice. They can allow their pain to harden their heart. They can allow the bitterness of betrayal, the sting of injustice, the cruelty of the world to make them cold and indifferent. Or they can choose compassion. They can choose to love even when it is undeserved. They can choose to give even when it is inconvenient. They can choose to understand even when others refuse to explain. And that, my friends, is strength that cannot be defeated. Compassion is strength because it requires courage. It is easy to judge. It is easy to walk away. It is easy to protect yourself by building walls of indifference. But to feel, to empathize, to extend mercy when it is not owed, that is bravery. It is vulnerability in its most powerful form. It takes someone who has walked through fire, someone who has experienced hurt, someone who has known sorrow, to look at the brokenness of another and respond with care. Compassion is not weakness. It is the mark of a warrior who has learned that power is greatest when it heals, not harms. Compassion is strength because it transforms the world around you. When you show kindness to someone who has been rejected, when you lift up someone who has been beaten down, when you speak life into a heart that has known despair, you are exercising a form of power that cannot be replicated. You are breaking cycles of hate, anger, and violence. You are creating a ripple effect that spreads far beyond what you can see. True strength is not in domination. It is in the ability to influence, inspire, elevate others through love, empathy, and understanding. Compassion is strength because it demonstrates self-mastery. To show compassion in the face of offense, to respond with understanding instead of retaliation, to forgive when it is easier to hold grudges. This requires a mastery of one's own emotions. It requires the strength to resist anger, the discipline to control impulses, and the wisdom to recognize that responding in love is a higher form of victory. Those who wield compassion are not weak. They are disciplined. They are refined. They are powerful beyond measure because their strength does not come from reaction, but from choice. Compassion is strength because it bridges divides. World is full of walls, walls of race, walls of culture, walls of ideology, walls of past hurt. But a compassionate heart tears down those walls, seeks understanding where there is confusion, connection where there is isolation, and peace where there is conflict. The person who leads with compassion becomes a unifier, a reconciler, a force for harmony in a world desperate for it. Strength is not in separation. It is in the courage to connect, to empathize, and to extend grace even when it is uncomfortable. Compassion is strength because it heals wounds, both others and your own. When you show empathy to someone struggling, when you offer a hand to lift someone from despair, you are not only transforming their life, you are transforming your own. Passion allows you to release bitterness, resentment, and anger. It breaks the chains of the past. It softens the heart without weakening it. The strongest people are often the most compassionate because they understand that to hurt others is to hurt yourself, and to heal others is to heal yourself. Compassion is not soft, it is strategic, deliberate, and life-changing. Compassion is strength because it requires endurance. It is easy to be kind when it is convenient. It is easy to help when it is simple. But to sustain compassion when others reject it, when the world punishes it, when your efforts seem unnoticed, that is a challenge only the strong can meet. Compassion demands patience. It demands resilience, demands a steadfast commitment to humanity, even when the rewards are not immediate. Those who maintain compassion in adversity are like unmovable trees in a storm. They bend, they sway, but they do not break, and they provide shelter, shade, life to all around them. Compassion is strength because it inspires courage in others. People who witness genuine empathy and love, especially from those who have known pain themselves, are emboldened. They are reminded that they too can rise above bitterness. They too can choose understanding over judgment. They too can act with integrity and grace in a world that often rewards cruelty. Compassionate person empowers others not by force, but by example. They demonstrate that strength is not in power over others, but power with others, lifting, guiding, and encouraging them to realize their full potential. Compassion is strength because it is revolutionary. In a world that often celebrates aggression, manipulation, and selfness, the person who consistently acts with love, mercy, and empathy stands apart. They disrupt the status quo. They challenge norms. They redefine what it means to be powerful. They show that true influence comes not from fear, intimidation, or control, but from the willingness to extend a hand, listen, forgive, and love without conditions. Those who lead with compassion leave a legacy far greater than wealth or titles. They leave lives changed, hearts restored, and communities transformed. Finally, compassion is strength because it is rooted in love. Love is the greatest power in the universe. Love heals, love restores, love conquers. A compassionate heart is a loving heart, and a loving heart cannot be defeated. It cannot be silenced. It cannot be broken. It is stronger than any weapon, mightier than any army, and more enduring than any empire. The person who embraces compassion is not weak. They are unstoppable, unshackable, and undeniable. Their strength is silent yet seismic, subtle yet unstoppable. Do not be fooled by appearances. Do not measure strength by the harshness of words or the force of actions. True strength is found in hearts that care. True strength is found in hands that lift. True strength is found in souls that extend mercy when it is undeserved. Compassion is not the absence of strength. It is the pinnacle of it. It is the mark of those who have endured, risen, and chosen to transform the world through love. It is the power that moves mountains, restores lives, changes destinies. Compassion is strength. Compassion is power. Compassion is unstoppable. And the world will never be the same when you embrace it, embody it, and wield it as your force for good. The strongest among us are not those who crush. They are those who heal. Not those who dominate. They are those who lift. Not those who demand respect. They are those who earn it through love, mercy, and unwavering care. There is a force in this world far greater than talent, intelligence, or opportunity. It is the force of purpose. To live purposefully is to live fully, to live intentionally, to live as if every moment, every choice, every breath matters. And yet, so many wander through life aimlessly, drifting in the currents of circumstance, letting the world define their path, allowing others to dictate their worth. A person who lives with purpose is unstoppable. They are unshakable. They are a force of nature because they understand that life is not about existing. It is about fulfilling the reason you were placed here. Purposeful living begins with self-awareness. You cannot live on purpose if you do not know who you are, what you value, and what you were created to accomplish. Too many people live according to expectations, habits, or the approval of others. They conform to what society tells them they should be, ignoring the calling that stirs within their hearts. Purposeful living requires all honesty with oneself. It demands reflection, introspection, courage to confront the truths that are often uncomfortable. Who are you really? What do you really want? What gifts, talents, abilities lie dormant within you, waiting to be unleashed? These questions are not optional. They are essential for living intentionally. Purposeful living is about setting intentional goals. It is not enough to dream or hope. It is not enough to wish for change or improvement. Life of purpose demands clarity of vision and commitment to action. Every step must have direction. Every decision must align with your goals. Every effort must move you closer to the life you are meant to live. Purposeful living turns dreams into plans and plans into action. It gives structure to ambition and momentum to passion. It is the difference between wandering aimlessly and walking boldly toward a destiny you were born to fulfill. Purposeful living requires discipline and perseverance. Even when you know your purpose, the road will not always be smooth. Challenges will rise, obstacles will appear, and doubts will creep in. But the person who lives intentionally does not stop. Because the journey is hard, they persist. Purposeful living is not dependent on comfort, convenience, or immediate results. It is a commitment to show up every day, to act with consistency, to refuse to be deterred by setbacks, and to trust that the process, no matter how long or difficult, molding you into the person capable of fulfilling your purpose. Purposeful living is about aligning your choices with your values. Every action you take, every word you speak, every relationship you engage in should reflect who you are and what you believe. Purposeful living requires integrity, consistency, authenticity. It demands that you honor yourself in every decision, that you refuse to compromise your principles for temporary gain, that you live in a way that others can respect and emulate. A purposeful life is coherent, aligned, and intentional. It does not leave room for regret, because choices are made consciously, not haphazardly. Purposeful living is about impacting others. Life is not solely about personal achievement or success. True purpose extends beyond oneself. It is about using your gifts, talents, and experiences to uplift, inspire, and serve others. Person who lives purposefully recognizes that their journey is interconnected with the journeys of others. They seek to create positive change, to bring hope where there is despair, to build where there is brokenness, and to influence the world in ways that endure beyond their lifetime. Purpose is not selfish, it is transformative. It is a ripple that extends far beyond the individual and touches generations. Purposeful living is about embracing challenges as part of the journey. Life will not always go according to plan. Circumstances will shift. People will disappoint. Dreams will face resistance. But a purposeful person sees challenges not as obstacles to be feared, but as opportunities to grow, refine, and strengthen their character. Every trial, every setback, every failure is a lesson designed to teach resilience, patience, and wisdom. Purposeful living transforms adversity into advantage, pain into power, and struggle into a stepping stone for growth. Purposeful living requires self-belief and confidence. The world will question your choices. Naysayers will doubt your vision. Critics will challenge your capabilities. But a person with purpose does not rely on external validation. They rely on the internal certainty that they are capable, that their path is meaningful, and that their life has value. Purposeful living demands unwavering faith in oneself, confidence in one's abilities, and the courage to follow the path that aligns with destiny, even when it is unpopular, difficult, or misunderstood. Purposeful living is about adaptability and growth. Life is fluid. Circumstances change. Goals evolve. The person who lives on purpose remains steadfast in vision. While flexible in approach, they embrace learning, growth, and change as integral to their journey. Purposeful living is not rigid or stagnant. It is dynamic. It requires openness to new ideas, willingness to pivot when necessary, and the humility to accept that the path to fulfillment may take unexpected turns, yet still leads to the ultimate destination. Purposeful living is about leaving a legacy. Every action, every choice, every word contributes to the story you leave behind. A person who lives intentionally understands that their life is larger than themselves. They strive to create impact, inspire others, and leave the world a better place than they found it. Purposeful living ensures that your time on this earth is not wasted on trivialities or distractions. It transforms your existence into a testament of meaning, beacon of hope, and a model of integrity. And finally, purposeful living is about joy and fulfillment. When you live intentionally, when your choices, actions, and relationships align with your calling, you experience a sense of fulfillment that transcends material gain. You awaken each day with clarity, passion, drive. You feel the satisfaction of contributing to something greater than yourself. Purposeful living brings peace, confidence, and resilience. It allows you to face life's storms with courage, to celebrate victories with gratitude, and to approach challenges with wisdom and strength. Living purposefully is not optional. It is not a luxury. It is not something to postpone until tomorrow. Purposeful living is essential. It is your power. It is your responsibility. It is your gift to yourself and to the world. Every person who discovers and lives their purpose becomes unstoppable. Every action taken with intention becomes a force for transformation. Every life lived with meaning becomes a legacy that outlives time. Purposeful living is not about perfection. It is about direction. It is not about convenience. It is about commitment. It is not about avoiding difficulty. It is about facing it with clarity and courage. And the person who embraces their purpose fully, passionately, and relentlessly becomes a beacon of light in a world that often wanders in darkness. Purposeful living transforms ordinary existence into extraordinary achievement, fleeting moments into enduring impact, personal fulfillment into universal interest. Live with purpose. Choose intentionally. Act boldly. Align your actions with your values. Invest in others. Embrace challenges. Believe in yourself. Grow continuously. Leave a legacy. Celebrate your journey. Because when you live on purpose, you are not merely surviving, you are thriving. You are not merely existing, you are influencing, inspiring, and changing the world. Purposeful living is power, and the world bends before those who embrace it fully. There is a truth in this life that cannot be ignored if you are destined for greatness. Opposition is guaranteed. The road to success, the path to purpose, and the journey toward fulfillment will not be smooth. There will be critics, doubters, adversaries, and obstacles. There will be storms that threaten to knock you down, walls that seem impossible to scale, and voices that try to convince you that you are not enough. But I am here to declare today resilience against opposition is power. The person who refuses to be defeated by resistance is unstoppable. The person who rises stronger in the face of adversity is a force the world cannot contain. Opposition is not a curse. It is a test. It is life's way of measuring your determination, your strength, and your commitment to your purpose. Those who crumble at the first sign of resistance will never know the depth of their power. But those who stand firm, who fight through the doubts, persist when the world tells them to quit, will discover an inner strength they never imagined existed. Opposition is the mirror that reveals who you really are. It exposes fear, impatience, and weakness. And it provides the opportunity to conquer them. Resilience against opposition begins with belief in oneself. You must trust in your ability to overcome, in your vision to achieve, and in your worth to endure. Opposition thrives on uncertainty. Doubt is its weapon. But when you anchor yourself in self-belief, when you understand that your value is not determined by approval or rejection, you become unshakable. Resilient person faces opposition with courage because they know who they are, they know why they exist, and they refuse to be intimidated by anyone or anything that stands in their way. Resilience against opposition is about perspective. Life will throw challenges at you, but these challenges are not the end. They are the beginning of growth. Every obstacle carries a lesson. Every setback is a setup. Every failure is a foundation for future triumph. Those who understand this perspective do not waste energy on frustration or despair. They see adversity as a teacher, resistance as a motivator, and opposition as a proving ground. Perspective turns challenges into opportunities and transforms fear into fuel. Resilience against opposition requires patience and persistence. Victory does not come overnight. Success does not arrive on a silver platter. The journey is long and the road is filled with trials. The person who persists, who refuses to quit even when the odds seem insurmountable, will reach heights that others only dream of. Persistence is the heartbeat of resilience. It is the determination to keep moving even when progress feels slow. It is the commitment to rise each time you fall. It is the refusal to surrender to discouragement, delay, or defeat. Resilience against opposition is about learning from setbacks. Every challenge, every obstacle, every resistance you encounter is a lesson in disguise. Some people see failure as a dead end, as proof that they are not capable, as a signal to give up. But resilient people see failure as feedback. They analyze it, they adjust, and they adapt. They use opposition to sharpen their skills, to strengthen their resolve, and to refine their approach. Opposition is not meant to stop you. It is meant to teach you, prepare you, and equip you to reach higher levels of success. Resilience against opposition demands faith and hope. There will be moments when it seems the world is against you. There will be seasons when every step forward feels like a struggle. There will be times when the voices of doubt are louder than the whispers of encouragement. But resilience is fueled by the unshakable belief that better days are ahead. It is hope in action, faith in motion, confidence that your purpose is greater than your problems. The resilient person holds on to hope when the storm rages. They press forward with unwavering faith when the path seems impossible. Resilience against opposition requires emotional mastery. Life will provoke you, frustrate you, and test your patience. But the person who succumbs to anger, resentment, or despair gives power to the opposition. Emotional mastery is the ability to respond with wisdom, calm, and strategic action rather than reaction. It is the strength to remain composed when chaos surrounds you, the ability to act decisively when pressure mounts, courage to persevere when others falter. Emotional mastery transforms challenges from threats into opportunities for growth. Resilience against opposition is about building support systems. No one thrives alone. Even the strongest, most determined people need allies, mentors, and encouragement. Resilient individuals recognize the value of surrounding themselves with those who uplift, guide, and motivate. They seek wisdom from those who have overcome. They find strength in community, and they draw inspiration from shared experience. Opposition may try to isolate you, but resilience is fortified when you are connected to those who reinforce your vision, remind you of your worth, help you navigate the journey. Resilience against opposition is about vision and focus. When you face resistance, it is easy to be distracted by criticism, setbacks, or fear, but the resilient person keeps their eyes fixed on the prize. They do not waver from their goals, they do not lose sight of their mission, and they do not allow temporary setbacks to derail their ultimate destination. Focus is a weapon against opposition. It enables you to navigate obstacles with precision, make deliberate choices, and maintain momentum even in the most challenging circumstances. And finally, resilience against opposition is about transformation through trial. The strongest people are not those who have lived a life without struggle. They are those who have faced opposition and emerged stronger, wiser, and more powerful than before. Resistance shapes character, adversity cultivates courage, and challenges refine determination. Every time you rise after being knocked down, every time you continue when others quit, every time you persevere despite opposition, you become a living testament to the power of resilience. You show the world that true strength is not about avoiding resistance, it is about thriving in spite of it. Opposition is inevitable. Criticism is unavoidable. Challenges are guaranteed, but your response determines your destiny. The person who refuses to be broken by resistance, who rises stronger after every setback, who faces opposition with courage, focus, and faith is unstoppable. The person who develops resilience opposition becomes unshakable, undeniable, and unforgettable. They are a force the world cannot contain, a light that cannot be dimmed, and a presence that cannot be ignored. Resilience against opposition is not passive, it is active. It is not accidental, it is intentional. It is not weakness, it is the pinnacle of strength. The resilient person does not wait for the storm to pass. They learn to dance in the rain. They do not hope for smooth roads. They build strength on rough terrain. They do not rely on luck. They rely on preparation, determination, unyielding faith. Opposition may challenge them, but it will never defeat them. The world will try to stop you, life will test you, and challenges will confront you. But when you rise every time you fall, when you keep moving even when the path is hard, when you refuse to surrender in the face of adversity, you become unstoppable. Resilience against opposition is your power. It is your weapon. It is your declaration that no obstacle, no critic, no setback, and no storm can dictate the outcome of your life. Stand strong. Keep moving. Keep believing. Keep fighting. Because the person who develops resilience against opposition does more than survive. They thrive. They do more than endure. They conquer. They do more than exist. They leave a legacy, and the world will never be able to ignore the power of a life that refuses to be defeated. There is a force more powerful than words, more lasting than promises, and more persuasive than speeches. It is the power of example. Influence is not found in what you say, it is found in what you do. Influence is not measured by how many people hear you. It is measured by how many people watch you and are inspired to act differently because of your actions. Every person who seeks to leave a mark on the world must understand this. The most profound influence comes from living a life that demonstrates integrity, courage, and purpose. Too often, people try to motivate others with words alone. They speak of dreams, share visions, and give advice, but their actions contradict their words. And when that happens, influence is lost. People watch, people see, people judge. The greatest leaders, the greatest mentors, the greatest examples are those whose lives align with their message. Influence through example begins with authenticity. It begins with living honestly, consistently, and unapologetically in alignment with your values. Your life becomes the message, your actions become the sermon, and your integrity becomes the magnet that draws others to emulate you. Influence through example is about leading with character. People do not follow titles, positions, or accolades. They follow integrity, consistency, authenticity. When you demonstrate honesty in difficult situations, fairness when no one is watching, and humility in moments of success, you teach others what true leadership looks like. Influence through example is about setting a standard that others aspire to reach. It is about showing that strength is not in dominance, but in responsibility. It is about proving that greatness is not achieved by shortcuts, but by diligence, discipline, and unwavering commitment to doing what is right. Influence through example is about demonstrating courage. The world respects those who rise when the odds are against them. The world notices those who stand firm in their convictions, even when it is unpopular. The world remembers those who act with bravery when fear is present. Influence is amplified when others see you take risks for the right reasons, when they witness you make sacrifices for what you believe in, and when they understand that courage is not the absence of fear, the decision to act in spite of it. Every act of bravery inspires others to believe that they too can face their fears and rise above challenges. Influence through example is about showing perseverance. Words can encourage, but actions sustain. People will not remember what you said. They will remember how you handled adversity, how you continued when others quit, how you refused to allow setbacks to define your future. Every time you persist, every time you rise after a fall, every time you continue despite exhaustion or doubt, you teach others that success is born from endurance, not luck. Influence grows when your resilience becomes a living testimony that obstacles are not the end. They are the proving ground for greatness. Influence through example is about demonstrating empathy and compassion. People are drawn to those who show care, who extend mercy, who respond with understanding. Influence is not simply about achieving your own success. It is about how your actions affect the lives of others. By showing kindness in moments of tension, by helping those who cannot repay you, by listening when others feel unheard, you create a model of how life can be lived with purpose, love, and respect. Compassionate actions inspire people to act with integrity, empathy, and service, creating a ripple effect that extends far beyond your immediate reach. Influence through example is about practicing humility. The world often equates influence with authority, power, and status, but the person who demonstrates humility shows that true influence is rooted in service, not ego. Humility does not diminish impact, it amplifies it. When others see you giving credit to those who helped you, admitting mistakes when necessary, and remaining teachable no matter your accomplishments, they learn that strength is not in pride, but in authenticity. Influence through example shows that a life of purpose is measured not by what you accumulate, but by the positive impact you leave on others. Influence through example is about living consistently. Influence is fragile when actions are sporadic or inconsistent. People notice patterns. They watch how you respond under pressure, how you treat those who can do nothing for you, and how you uphold your values even when it is inconvenient. Every consistent act of integrity reinforces your message. Every habit of excellence strengthens your credibility, and every display of patience and discipline leaves an imprint on those who observe. Influence is not earned in a moment. It is cultivated over time through repeated demonstration of your principles. Influence through example is about inspiring action. Words can persuade, but example compels. People do not follow instructions, they follow models. They do not emulate speeches, they emulate behavior. When you live boldly, act courageously, and demonstrate unwavering commitment to your goals, you inspire others to rise from complacency, to challenge their limitations, and to pursue their own potential. Influence becomes a living force when your life serves as proof that possibilities are achievable, that dreams are attainable, and that purpose can be realized. Influence through example is about creating a legacy. Every choice you make, every action you take, every principle you uphold contributes to the story you leave behind. Your influence is measured not by the applause you receive today, by the lives changed, the hearts touched, and the minds inspired long after you are gone. By living intentionally, consistently, and courageously, you become a guidepost for others to follow. Your life becomes a map, your actions become a blueprint, and your legacy becomes the enduring influence that outlasts time. And finally, influence through example is about embodying the values you want to see in the world. You cannot teach honesty if you lie. You cannot teach perseverance if you quit. You cannot teach kindness if you are cruel. True influence demands that your actions match your words, that your life reflects your beliefs, and that your character stands as a beacon of what is possible. Influence through example transforms ordinary people into leaders, challenges mediocrity, and inspires greatness. It is the power that moves hearts, shapes decisions, and creates movements. Do not underestimate the power of your actions. Do not wait to speak live. Do not wait to inspire. Act. Do not wait for permission. Lead by example. Influence is not found in titles, recognition, or accolades. It is found in how you show up, how you treat others, how you live your life consistently with purpose, integrity, and courage. The person who demonstrates excellence, empathy, resilience in their daily life becomes unstoppable. They cannot be ignored. They cannot be silenced. They cannot be duplicated. Influence through example is not passive. It is deliberate. It is intentional. It is powerful beyond measure. Every action you take, every decision you make, every word you speak sends a message, whether you intend it or not. Choose to make your message one of courage, love, integrity, and purpose. Choose to be the example that others aspire to follow. Choose to live in a way that transforms lives, elevates communities, and leaves a legacy that cannot be erased. Because the greatest influence in the world does not come from speeches, lectures, or advice. It comes from a life well lived. It comes from a person who acts with conviction, integrity, and courage. It comes from a soul determined to demonstrate through action what words alone cannot convey. Influence through example is the quiet, relentless power that shapes the world. It is the force that moves hearts, molds minds, and inspires generations. And when you embrace it, embody it, and live it fully, you become a light the world cannot ignore and a force the world cannot contain. There is a fire inside every person who has been wronged, betrayed, or hurt. That fire often manifests as anger, bitterness, and a desire for revenge. It whispers lies into the mind, make them pay. Get even. Show them they cannot cross you. And in that moment, it feels justified. It feels righteous. It feels like power. But I am here to tell you today, true power is not found in retaliation. It is found in wisdom. Wisdom over revenge is not just a choice. It is a declaration of strength, maturity, and destiny. Revenge is the weapon of the unrefined. It is reactive. It is temporary. It seeks immediate satisfaction, but leaves the soul depleted, burdened, and chained to the very pain it seeks to overcome. Wisdom, on the other hand, is strategic. Wisdom understands the long game. Wisdom knows that patience, discernment, and restraint lead to outcomes far greater than momentary satisfaction. The person who chooses wisdom over revenge elevates themselves above the chaos, refusing to let the actions of others dictate the peace of their soul. Wisdom over revenge begins with self-control. When someone wrongs you, your emotions demand a response. Anger screams for action. Bitterness beckons for retaliation. But the wise person resists the impulse. They understand that acting in the heat of emotion is the surest way to create regret. True strength is measured by the ability to pause, to think clearly, to respond intentionally rather than react impulsively. Self-control is the foundation of wisdom. It is the shield that prevents the poison of revenge from consuming your spirit. Choosing wisdom over revenge is about maintaining perspective. When you are hurt, it is easy to view the offender as the center of the universe, to believe that their actions define your life. But wisdom reminds you that their choices reflect their character, not yours. Reminds you that you are accountable for your responses, not their offenses. It reminds you that your energy is too valuable to waste on retaliation, and that your focus should remain on your growth, your purpose, and your destiny. Perspective allows you to rise above the moment, seeing the bigger picture where revenge only keeps you small. Wisdom over revenge is about preserving peace. The heart that pursues retaliation becomes a battlefield. It carries the weight of resentment, anger, and hatred, which only serve to prolong suffering. Choosing wisdom allows you to reclaim your peace. It allows you to step away from the cycle of harm and elevate your life above the conflict. The person who chooses wisdom does not ignore wrongdoing. They confront it with clarity, fairness, integrity, but they do so without compromising their inner calm. Peace is power, and wisdom is the path to that power. Wisdom over revenge is about strategic response. It is not weakness to wait, to calculate, or to choose the right moment. In fact, the opposite is true. It is strength. While revenge is impulsive, wisdom considers consequences, evaluates options, and acts with intention. The wise do not act out of anger. They act out of understanding. They respond in ways that protect their integrity, advance their purpose, ensure that they are not dragged down by the toxicity of retaliation. Strategic response transforms potential defeat into victory, impulsive revenge into opportunity. Wisdom over revenge is about long-term victory. The person who seeks revenge often experiences fleeting satisfaction, a temporary sense of getting even. But that satisfaction fades, leaving scars, guilt, continued conflict. Wisdom, however, builds enduring triumph by responding with grace, integrity, and intelligence. The wise person turns adversity into advantage. They turn betrayal into motivation. They turn hurt into fuel for growth. They rise above the petty desire for retribution and achieve victories that are lasting, meaningful, and far-reaching. Wisdom over revenge is about learning and growth. Every wrong you encounter carries a lesson. Every betrayal, every slight, every injustice can teach you something valuable if you are willing to see it. The wise person does not allow hurt to blind them. They allow it to educate them. They examine the circumstances, understand the motivations, and adjust their approach for the future. They grow stronger, wiser, and more resilient with each trial. Revenge teaches nothing. It only perpetuates pain. Wisdom transforms every hurt into an opportunity for mastery over life. Wisdom over revenge is about maintaining reputation and legacy. Consider this: the person who acts out of anger may win a small battle, but they risk losing their character. Their response, no matter how justified, can taint their image, damage relationships, and undermine trust. The person who chooses wisdom over revenge protects their name, upholds their dignity, and demonstrates that their life is governed by principle, not impulse. Influence and respect are built not by how harshly you strike back, but by how gracefully you rise above offenses. Wisdom over revenge is about forgiveness without weakness. Forgiveness is not about excusing wrongdoing. It is about releasing its power over you. Forgiveness is a deliberate choice to free your heart, reclaim your energy, and refuse to be held hostage by anger. The person who forgives wisely does not ignore justice. They act with integrity and wisdom, but they refuse to let resentment define their path. Forgiveness is the ultimate form of strength because it demonstrates control, courage, and an understanding that life is too precious to squander on vengeance. Wisdom over revenge is about empowering yourself. When you respond wisely, you take control of your life. You decide your response, your emotions, and your trajectory. You refuse to be manipulated by the actions of others. You refuse to let someone else's choices dictate your peace, your joy, your success. Choosing wisdom is not passive, it is active. It is claiming ownership of your power, asserting mastery over your destiny, declaring that no one else will write your story. And finally, wisdom over revenge is about transcendence. Person who chooses wisdom rises above the petness of retaliation. They become an example for others. They demonstrate that strength is not in retaliation. It is in restraint. They teach the world that peace, integrity, intelligence are greater weapons than any act of vengeance. They transform their pain into power, their trials into testimony, and their hurt into healing. The world takes notice, respect follows, and their life becomes a blueprint for enduring greatness. Do not be deceived by the temptation of revenge. Do not allow anger to control your decisions. Do not let the hurt inflicted upon you dictate the course of your life. True power is not found in striking back. It is found in rising above. True strength is not measured by retaliation. It is measured by restraint. True victory is not momentary. It is lasting. Choose wisdom over revenge. Respond with clarity, integrity, and purpose. Protect your peace. Preserve your character, empower your life, learn from every wrong, forgive without weakness, and in doing so you will discover a power that cannot be shaken, peace that cannot be stolen, and a life that stands as a testament to the enduring strength of wisdom. Because the person who masters wisdom over revenge does more than survive. They thrive, they do more than endure, they conquer. They do more than exist, they leave a legacy. And the world will never be able to ignore the power of a life that refuses to be defined by retaliation and chooses the higher path of discernment, strength, grace. There is a force in this world that cannot be stopped, cannot be shaken, and cannot be denied. It is not born of luck. It is not granted by circumstance. It is not given by approval. It is forged in fire, tempered through trials, and fueled by purpose. It is the unstoppable force that rises when a person refuses to quit, refuses to settle, and refuses to allow anything, no obstacle, no failure, no betrayal to dictate their destiny. An unstoppable force is not a myth. It is the person who has healed, the person who has learned, the person who has chosen to rise despite every reason to fall. An unstoppable force begins with clarity of vision. You cannot move forward with relentless power if you do not know where you are going. Life will test you, challenge you, tempt you to wander if your eyes are not fixed on your goal. The unstoppable force has a vision so clear, so vivid. Obstacles become temporary detours and setbacks become lessons, not defeats. Every action, every decision, every step is aligned with a purpose so strong it cannot be ignored. Vision fuels determination, and determination ignites the unstoppable fire within. Unstoppable force is rooted in resilience. Life will try to stop you. It will throw trials in your path, disappointments in your way, pain that feels unbearable. But the unstoppable force does not bend under pressure. It bends with wisdom. It does not break under weight. It absorbs strength from adversity. Resilience is the muscle that keeps you moving forward when your energy fades, when your spirit wavers, and when the world seems determined to keep you down. The unstoppable rise again stronger than before because their strength is forged in the furnace of trial, and unstoppable force is driven by unwavering purpose. Purpose is the engine, the fuel, the compass all in one. The person who knows why they exist, who understands the significance of their mission, cannot be deterred. Opposition may come, critics may speak, and circumstances may challenge, but purpose keeps moving, keeps striving, keeps believing. Purpose transforms ordinary effort into extraordinary impact. It turns passion into persistence, struggle into strategy, and obstacles into stepping stones. Without purpose, power fizzles. With purpose, you are unstoppable. An unstoppable force learns from failure rather than being defined by it. Those who give up at the first sign of defeat are not forces. They are passengers in life, subject to the whims of circumstance. The unstoppable rise with every fall, study their missteps, adapt, and press forward with greater wisdom. Failure is not a wall to stop them. It is a teacher that prepares them for higher levels of achievement. The unstoppable understand that setbacks are temporary, lessons are permanent, and persistence is the key to victory. An unstoppable force controls its mind and emotions. Strength without mastery is wasted energy. Anger, fear, doubt, and resentment are all tools the world uses to distract, derail, and defeat you. But the unstoppable maintain discipline over thoughts, resilience in emotions, and clarity in action. They respond with strategy rather than reaction. They act with intention rather than impulse. They remain focused when chaos surrounds them and calm when storms rage. Mastery of the mind is the bedrock of unstoppable momentum. It is the secret weapon of those who refuse to be defeated. Unstoppable force rises above criticism. The world will never fully understand your journey. The voices of doubt, jealousy, and negativity will always exist. But the unstoppable do not rely on approval. They rely on conviction. They do not seek validation. They seek impact. Criticism is background noise. It cannot shake their resolve. Every step forward, every risk taken, and every boundary pushed strengthens their credibility, not their insecurity. Those who rise above judgment become forces that others cannot ignore. An unstoppable force acts boldly and decisively. It waits for no one's permission. It hesitates for no validation. It is not paralyzed by fear or indecision. Boldness is the hallmark of the unstoppable. Every move is deliberate. Every decision is intentional, and every risk is calculated. The world respects action, not talk. The unstoppable do not wait for the perfect moment. They create it. They do not wait for support. They inspire it. Boldness propels momentum. Momentum becomes unstoppable energy, and unstoppable force inspires and elevates others. Power that exists only for oneself is fleeting. True force uplifts, encourages, and guides others toward their potential. The unstoppable use their resilience, courage, and wisdom to influence lives, mentor, create a ripple effect that reaches beyond their immediate circle. Leadership is not about control. It is about example. Influence is not about dominance. It is about demonstration, and the unstoppable understand that the most enduring power is the ability to make others rise. Unstoppable force remains persistent in adversity. Life will not be easy. Challenges will come, storms will rage, and doors will close. The unstoppable understand that persistence outlasts resistance. They continue when others quit. They rise when others stumble. They fight when others surrender. Adversity is the proving ground, and persistence is the defining quality that separates the unstoppable from the ordinary. Every trial endured, every struggle overcome, and every barrier surpassed reinforces their unstoppable momentum. An unstoppable force embraces transformation. They are never content with yesterday's victories or today's achievements. They seek growth, mastery, and evolution in every season. Stagnation is not an option. Complacency is unacceptable. The unstoppable push boundaries, redefine limits, and challenge themselves to achieve more, do more, become more. They understand that true force is dynamic. It adapts, it grows, and it continues to expand in influence, power, and impact. Unstoppable force understands the power of forgiveness. They do not allow grudges, bitterness, or past betrayals to weigh them down. They rise above resentment, release what cannot be changed, and reclaim their energy for creation, not destruction. Forgiveness is not weakness. It is strategic. It is the clearing of space for progress, the removal of obstacles within, and the strengthening of character. The unstoppable walk forward unburdened, carrying only lessons, wisdom, and momentum. And finally, an unstoppable force knows that their time is now. They understand that waiting for permission, opportunity, or ideal conditions is a trap. Life rewards those who act, those who move, those who refuse to be delayed by hesitation. The unstoppable embrace urgency, seize moments, and harness every resource to push forward. They do not fear the unknown. They charge into it with preparation, faith, and determination. Their energy is relentless, their vision unshakable, and their power undeniable. There is nothing, no circumstance, no person, no challenge that can stop you if you choose to be unstoppable. Healing gives you strength, purpose gives you direction, resilience gives you endurance, and wisdom gives you power. When these forces combine within a person, they become an unstoppable force. A life that cannot be ignored, presence that cannot be silenced, and a legacy that cannot be erased. Rise, persist, believe, act, lead, inspire, transform. Because when you embrace the unstoppable force within, the world must make way. Nothing can deter you, nothing can define you. Nothing can limit you. You are not merely moving forward, you are advancing with the force of destiny, and nothing on earth can hold you back.